Good morning. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Gerry Skolnick. I'm the rabbi of the Forest Hills Jewish Center here in New York City and a past president of the Rabbinical Assembly. Those of you who have attended this Azkarah service over the past few years may recall that I have presided over it on a number of occasions. This year, I'm privileged to co-officiate with our colleague Julia Andelman, and I turn now to Julia to open the program with a rendition of the 23rd Psalm.
מזמור לדוד. אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בנאות שירביצני, על מי מנוחות, על מי מנוחות, ינעלני. נפשי ישובב ישובב, ינחני במעגלי צדק, ינחני במעגלי צדק, למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צמוות, לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, תשענת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני, כל ימי חיי, כל ימי חיי. ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. אדוני רואי לא אחסר, אדוני רואי לא אחסר.
Thank you, Julia. That was lovely. I believe I mentioned in one of the past years of officiating that when I was a younger member of our rabbinical assembly, I rarely attended the Azkarah. It seemed to me a distant foreshadowing of a time that I had not yet allowed myself to imagine, and largely irrelevant to me. Oh, to be young and so arrogant as to think that death and loss were directly correlated to age and experience. This year, as I mark 40 years since my ordination and 40 years of serving in the same pulpit, what was once a distant foreshadowing is now a steadily encroaching and inescapable awareness of finitude and mortality. It's not that I wasn't aware of this before, even in my more arrogant youth, before I lost my parents. Death and loss were professionally always a phone call away. I vividly remember those pre-cell phone conventions at the Concord Hotel when we would all be gathered together for a meal in its enormous dining room. A hotel staff person would approach the microphone during the meal and say, "I have a message for Rabbi," and everyone would cringe as if trying to hide. It was a childlike gesture, like saying, "If I can't see you, you can't see me." But all these years later, that aforementioned radical awareness of mortality makes a moment such as this all the more powerful. This year, we are summoned to remember 33 beloved colleagues who were lost to us. Each of them was, in his or her own unique way, a precious swatch of the colorful tapestry that is our rabbinical assembly. Many of them labored in the vineyards of the pulpit rabbinate, and in so doing, influenced countless people whom they inspired and led over the years. But there were also among their numbers distinguished academicians who touched the lives of countless students, military chaplains who did the same for lonely and far-flung members of the armed forces, rabbis who brought countless men and women into the covenant of God and Israel via conversion, professional Jewish educators who shaped the lives of their students, therapists, experts in finance, leaders in Jewish communal organizations, progressive political activists, and much more. Most made their professional lives here in North America. Others moved to Israel and made great contributions there. Some lived long and fulfilling lives. Others died tragically young, leaving so many dreams and adventures sadly unrealized. A few of those whom we recall today died of COVID-19. I was privileged to study with and learn from many of these colleagues, and I was also privileged to call more than a few of them friends. Brief biographies of all of our colleagues whom we memorialize today are available for you in the memorial booklet that most of you will have received in the mail. The link to that publication will also appear in the chat section of this Zoom session. We are all deeply grateful to our friend and colleague Jan Kaufman, who compiled and edited the memorial booklet as a labor of love, something she has done with great care for many years. You will notice that some of the names Julia will mention when she recites the El Malay are not in the booklet. That is because they passed away after the booklet went to press. And of course, we are also summoned today to remember 12 rabbinic spouses who passed away during the past year, women and men whose love and support was critical to their spouses' success and fulfillment. In our time, no two rabbinic spouses carve out for themselves identical, predetermined roles to play in the communities that they are a part of. Some find fulfillment in what, for want of a better term, might be referred to as the, quote, traditional role, end quote. Others have exciting and significant careers quite independent of their spouse's calling. Still others fashion ways to blend the two, charting an independent career course, but also participating in his or her spouse's communal setting. No matter what path these spouses chose to follow, they surely also served to support our colleagues and their work, and we are deeply grateful to them. Under ordinary circumstances, I would at this point turn the program over to Julia to chant the El Malei Rachamim for those we are remembering today. But there is nothing about our circumstances today that is ordinary. Were it so, we would be together not on Zoom, but in a room, in a real room, at a real convention, having just completed our davening. The immediacy of our presence and the presence of those family members whom we recall would in and of themselves enhance the sanctity of this moment. But to invoke a much overused turn of the phrase, we are met in extraordinary times. COVID-19 has almost a year to the day subverted our lives and our sense of normalcy in every important way. It is true that relatively few of the colleagues and spouses we remember this morning actually died of the virus. But I dare say that virtually all of us who are on this Zoom session, either personally or professionally, or both, have been touched and scarred by this awful pandemic. So many of us have lost family, friends, acquaintances, members of our communities, young and old, students and teachers, and watched those we minister to lose parents and relatives who died awful, lonely deaths in hospitals, with their only human contact being with heroic nurses and doctors. As a pulpit rabbi, like so many of our colleagues, I have officiated at far too many funerals where the number of people allowed at the graveside wasn't even enough to accommodate all of the immediate mourners. Shovels weren't offered to us because of concern about multiple contacts with the shovel's handles. And the absence of an indoor gathering space left precious little opportunity to offer the appropriate tributes that were due to the lives of the people whom we were burying. Shiva rituals became yet another Zoom meeting, and mourners, particularly older ones, were even more isolated than before. The sad but unavoidable truth is that while we are gathered together to remember those colleagues and spouses whom we lost during the past year, it is also unavoidably the case that many of us are struggling with our own diffuse and unprocessed grief. We, the consolers, are ourselves also in need of consolation. We cannot, of course, allow that reality to obscure the memories of our colleagues and their spouses whom we recall this morning. May they know eternal peace, and may the loving members of their families who grieve for them find comfort with time in the memories of their lives so well lived. But may we also allow ourselves to pray for the sense of wellness that was chanted so beautifully just a few moments ago. Adonai ro'i lo echsar. God is my shepherd, I shall not want. May all of us who grieve find peace of mind and a sense of wholeness within the sheltering presence of the Shekhinah. And may the days and months ahead bring healing to us all. Julia will now chant the El Malei Rachamim.
El Malei Rachamim, Shochen B'Meromim, המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמות מורינו הנכבדים הרב שלמה בן חיים לבובדרוב והרב אשר אלתר במנחם ספר רבקה והרב רש בית א' מבית אור והרב מרדכי לייב בן החזן ברוך מאיר הכהן ושיינה גולדה והרב יואל בן משה מרים והרב אלחנן ישראל בן מרדכי הלוי ובלומה והרב אפרים ברוך בן גדליה בן נחמה והרב אפרים צבי בן אריה וחנה והרב משה יהודה בן הרב יואל ושרה לאה והרב יצחק משה בן יוזפה והרב מנחם מנדל בן אברהם יעקב ושרה בלה והרב יוסף בן צבי בנינה והרב יונה בן יעקב ופגה והרב אפרים בן שמואל יוסף וינטה והרב שמעון שלמה בן אברהם בטויבה והרב אברהם דוב בן אהרון ורשע והרב עמוסף בן הרב יוסף וציפורה והרב יחזקאל ניסים בן יצחק ששון ופרחה והרב רפאל בן החזן עקיבא והנדקלה והרב שלום מרדכי בן שמואל וחנה והרב אברהם יחזקאל בן שגה לוי ואסר והרב יוסף מתתיהו בן מאיר והרב שלמה דוד בן יעקב ואסר והרב אברהם יהושע השל בן הרב אשר וחנה רחל והרב צבי הרש בן הרב יהודה לייב וחיה והרב אוריאל דוד בן שמואל אריה הכהן והרב יהושע בן הרב אליהו דוד ונחמה והרב פנחס בן יעקב וטויבה והרב משה בן שאול ולאה והרב מרדכי בן מאיר וציפורה והרב שאול אלימלך בן צבי מנשה ואסתר ורב והרב צבי בן יוסף ובתיה והרב מרים בת יוסף ורזל שהלכו לעולמם גן עדן זה מנוחתם ענה בעל רחמים אסירם בסתר כנפיך לעולמים וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמותיהם אדוני ונחלתם ינוחו בשלום על משכבותיהם ונאמר amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant perfect peace among the holy and the pure in your sheltering presence to the souls of our esteemed colleagues and teachers. Rabbi Shlomo Balter, Rabbi Asher Arthur Allen Barzev, Rabbi R.B.O. Bat-Or, Rabbi Micah Lee Kaplan, Rabbi Joel Chazen, Rabbi Henry Israel Dicker, Rabbi Fred B. Elias, Rabbi Adam Feldman, Rabbi Leon Fink, Rabbi Edward M. Gershfield, Rabbi Manuel Gold, Rabbi Yosef Green, Rabbi Joseph Hurwitz, Rabbi Frederick Fred Kazan, Rabbi Stephen C. Lerner, Rabbi Arnold B. Marins, Rabbi Amos W. Miller, Rabbi Ezekiel Matzliach, Rabbi Raphael Ostrovsky, Rabbi Shalom Paul, Rabbi George Pollack, Rabbi Joseph M. Reich, Rabbi Sidney David Shankin, Rabbi Harry Arthur Silverstein, Rabbi Harry Tzvi Sky, Rabbi H.D. Uriel Smith, Rabbi Joshua Stampfer, Rabbi Paul Teicher, Rabbi Moshe Elmer, Rabbi Andre Unger, Rabbi Stanley M. Urbis, Rabbi Herbert Weinberg, and Rabbi Marilyn S. Werman, who have gone to their eternal home. May their memory endure as inspiration for deeds of charity and goodness in our lives. May their souls thus be bound up in the bond of life. May they rest in peace. And let us say Amen.
Amen.
El malei rachamim, shochein bameromim. Amtzei menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashechina. B'ma'alot kedoshim utorim, kezohar rakia ma'asirim, et nishmot liora bat Sara ve'Avram, v'shulamit bat Zion, bat Harav Pinchas v'Chaya, v'tova Shena bat Ephraim Peretz u'Mincha, v'Rela Rivka bat David ufrei Devorah, v'Sara Malka bat Ada v'Ephraim, v'Rachel Sarah bat Chaim v'Shenda, v'Rana Leah bat Nachum Alevi u'Miriam, v'Rachel bat Yohan v'Teodora, v'Tova Gita bat Yechiel v'Sara, v'Sima bat Gershon v'Tzipa Chaya, v'Bela Yehudit bat Shoshana Reis v'Perel Moshe Yaakov, Zev Pesach ben Nachum Kapla v'Rachel, v'Penina bat Ephraim v'Bela Rivka, Shelchu le'olamam, Began Eden tei menuchatam, Ana ba'al rachamim, Hasireim b'seter kenafecha le'olamim, Utzror b'tzor ha'chaim et nishmoteim, Adonai unachalatam, V'yanuchu v'shalom mishkavotehem, v'nomar Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant perfect peace among the holy and the pure in your sheltering presence. To the souls of Jennifer Kim Ankorn, Dr. Shalamith Beth Ray Elster, Toby S. Elster Esrog, Rita Feld Geffen, Shirley Zeberman Goldsmith, Randy Katz, Rana Leah Kempler Paul Levy, Ans Lehman Matt, Gustine Kanarak Matt, Shirley Geller Shapiro, Dr. Bela Round Shargel, William P. Shulevitz, and Pearl Goldstein Spielman, who have gone to their eternal home. May their memory endure as inspiration for deeds of charity and goodness in our lives. May their souls thus be bound up in the bond of life. May they rest in peace, and let us say Amen.
I want to acknowledge with gratitude the presence of loved ones and family members of all of those whom we are remembering this morning. Your presence enriches our rabbinical assembly, and please rest assured that the memories of your loved ones will always be a treasured part of our legacy. Our service will conclude with the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, B'yalma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach li'alam u'li'olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha berichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen. Thank you, Julia, for your magnificent renderings of those pieces. And thank you all for being with us as we remember.